Thank you for clicking on the video. Welcome back to the channel. This is your review for, well, let me introduce it better than that because I feel that was so familiar. Like I have been sitting here reviewing it all week. This is a new, we got something new here, new series, Monster. Well, it's not new, but this is a new, we're hitting on a different character, a different person this go round. The last time we had Dahmer, we did the Dahmer series, and now we're back with the Ed Gein story. I want to say I feel like they're gonna do. Have they done one with a female serial killer? I don't think I've watched it, but I feel like that'll be coming down the pike if they haven't, because they out there too. But we're gonna get into the story. I'm gonna review episodes 1-3, and then I'll review the rest 4-8. I'll come back with that one and wrap it on up next week because I feel by then everybody should have completed the series if you haven't already. So if you have already, don't go ahead of me. Okay? I have not seen episodes 4-8 yet. All right. So we're gonna preface by saying that we already know that this particular story inspired plenty horror movies, okay, about serial killers. We know that he was the inspiration for Silence of the Lambs, that serial killer in that movie, as well as Psycho. And so straight away, I wanted to see what they were going to do with the character and how and what similarities were going to be there with Norman Bates and Ed Gein. Or was he Leatherface? What was his name on Silence of the Lambs? I want to say, yeah, Leatherface, Hannibal Lecter, right? Yeah. He's a weirdo straight away. He's a weirdo. Okay. He has this, I don't know if it's a kink or whatever. It was almost like, I don't know what he was doing with the cow's milk. It made me uncomfortable though. We see that he lets himself in someone's house, sneaks upstairs, peeks in on these teenage girls, or young girls, I should say, they was probably teenagers, trying on bras. They hear him. So when they go run to see what's going on, of course, he's not there anymore. But the girl, it was almost like she knew who it was. Because she had this like look on her face like, I bet that was Ed. Anyway, he back home in his mama's underwear, jacking off in his room, standing in the chair. So it was a lot going on. He's standing, he got a belt around his neck, standing in the chair, of course, like kind of giving a whole like asphyxiation kink situation going on. It's like he got that, and he in the women's underwear. Piece of work, okay? Piece of work. Definitely needed intense therapy. His mama steady calling for him. And he up there really about to suffocate himself because he off the chair practically. She busts in there and she sees him, and makes him strip down naked. Of course, now she gonna sit there and read the Bible to him, asking him what he's doing and why he's doing it. He told her, he just wanted to have fun. She makes him promise me you'll never touch a woman. You'll never bring home a Jezebel. She forbids him, okay? Don't you ever touch a woman. It's a sin. Women are sin. I said, Jackie, please. Because y'all know this is Jackie. This is Jackie from Roseanne. She gonna always be Jackie to me. Ed, we see him down to the diner staring at the girls. He speaks to them. And I'm like, does this man really sound like this? Because he was giving a, let me see if I can give the Ed Gein voice that he was giving. I don't know. It reminded me of Winnie the Pooh. Or it gave a little Mickey. It was giving a little Mickey Mouse. I don't know. No, not really Mickey Mouse, because it was low like this. I don't know if the real Ed Gein spoke like this, but when I looked him up, His voice was a little bit deeper, but this voice is the voice the actor was using for Ed Gein. And so every time Ed speaks, I guess I'm going to have to use this voice. But he's very awkward. He has this little voice, and it's a very weird, and he's reading the paper. And he's spying on this girl. I can't keep it up that long. He's spying the girl he was spying on the night prior. She walks into the diner. Her name is Adeline. And, you know, they're friends. And so she sits down with him. She takes him by the hand. They sit down. And she pulls out this box and tells him it's okay to look in it and all of that. And there's pictures of the massacred people from the Holocaust. I mean, just slain Jewish people. Jewish people. Jewish people, you know, from the concentration camps and all of that. And Ed is just getting a kick out of the pictures. It's really getting him a bit aroused just looking at all of the people tortured and maimed like that. You know, he looks up with a smile. And he took of course he took that box home with all the images, you know, so he can look at it some more. We see him out tending to the farm. His brother comes strolling in, and their mama been looking for him, and he's, you know, he been out chasing skirts. He say he got plans though, you know. He say he's leaving, and you can come with. You better leave too. You might want to leave too, because mama is crazy. Your mama is mentally unstable, and it would probably behoove you to leave and get up out of here too. Ed don't want to hear it. You know, he loves mother. And when he's, you know, telling him, you know, he's trying to pack up his stuff, Ed appeases him for a second. Okay, you're right. And when the dude turn around, Ed pick up something and hit him upside the head and knock him clean out, killing him. Ed not dumbass. He's just crazy. He's just mentally unstable as well. Okay? And he gonna lean over there. He gonna lean over there talking about some, gotcha. No, brother, what was his brother name? Henry is dead, okay? So we see that Henry is his first victim. He goes and gets a wheelbarrow. And when he turns around, he sees Henry get up off the ground. And he gonna say, you got me good. So he's having a whole hallucination right now. Because that he definitely killed his brother. But he has a hallucination. And now, and it's clear that it's a hallucination, because now Henry is all agreeable, and, you know, it's just different. He's singing a different tune. But Henry's still in that damn barn, for sure. He's still in that barn. Ed and his mother, they have dinner, and he asked her, you know, have you spoken to Henry? You know, where he at? You know, she said she ain't seen him in a week. I ain't seen him since he run off with that whore. And she said, he ain't my son. She started going on and on and on, you know, about everything and everyone. It's everybody's fault. Everybody's a sinner except for her. Everybody's bad. And she tells him how she only wanted a girl. She ain't want no boys, because boys are just vile and evil and all of that. And he's only a weak child that a mother could love. Just really tearing Ed down. And his dumb ass is smiling while she insults him. Anyway, he out on the property, and he decides to go back to the barn, and he thinks Henry is in there sleeping. Talking about, wake up, Henry. He's crazy as hell. He drags him out to a wooded area and then just sets it and his brother on fire. Then runs back in there, you know, lying to his mother like he done found him and something is wrong. You know, they didn't call the police out there. Mama got the nerve to be out there carrying on crying, worrying if it's her son Henry. You just said Henry wasn't even your son. Now you worried and carrying on out here. But I don't even know why he thought he was gonna get, and he got away with it. But I don't know why these police they ain't look into nothing, because they check him. Of course, there's no pulse, but he's already cold. How did the rigor mortis already set in, and you said this just happened? What's going on? He ain't got no smoke inhalation or nothing. I don't understand. I really don't. But anyway, like I said, mama out there screaming and hollering. She gave a good performance. Go ahead, Jackie. At the medical examiner's office, they got questions for Ed, because again, like I said, Henry was dead for hours. We can clearly check that out. We can clearly corroborate these stories. The doctor gonna say it was asphyxia. How? He hit him upside the head. Did you not see a head wound? You missed it during your autopsy? You must ain't did one. You must ain't did one. Because you ain't found no smoke in his lungs. You lying. Just done made it up on the spot. Ed get home trying to comfort his mother. And she has a damn stroke crying so bad. Okay? She done sat there so bad crying. I was getting a message. She done cried so bad that she has a stroke. And so he has to get her to the hospital and everything. And when they come home, she's wheelchair bound and he has to carry her around. He has to give her a bath and all of that. And he's just loving it. The fact that he gets to look at his mother's naked body because he got something is going on there. It's an Oedipus complex going there. Then we see the Nazi woman that's portrayed in the book, the comic books that he's been watching, that he's been reading. He sees we see her, I should say, cleaning off this deceased woman's body. And she gets called away. And it's obvious she definitely tortured and killed that woman. But she goes out there and we see her slap the hell out of her daughter for not taking turns on the pony. She's hosting an event, and meanwhile her victims are all over the place, all over the house. They're in prison uniforms, so it's obvious she got the people just working and slave work that is, of course. And teaching her daughter how to shave their heads. She's terrible. And she's just tipping through the house. Or whatever. And then she overhears the menfolk having a conversation about all the Jews being expendable and all of that, and they need to be rid of them all. It's just really fueling her crazy. And so, like I said, it turns out he was like in the comic books in his head. I don't know what's going on with Ed. We see his hallucinations just randomly. We in his head just randomly. Ryan Murphy, I swear, he just, they just do such a great job. They really do. We see his mama hollering from the door. She wants him to take him down to the Smiths. Take me down to the Smiths farm. They owe me $10. Take me around there right now. So he take her over there. She can walk. She's slow. She's slow to walk, but she can walk. And she go out there hollering at them people, calling that lady, and I mean belligerent. Okay, just really trying to really fuss them out, calling them sinners and whores and Jezebels and this, that, and the third, and they dirty, and just really going in on them people. And again, she done fussed herself to death. Just done gave herself a stroke, just stressing. Ed, at the funeral, he lays next to her mom, next to his mama's dirt mound, just lays there crying. And then he walks home and he goes and sits in his mother's rocking chair. And it's like, this is really where the crazy started to brew, because he hears his mother say, "Get out of that chair." And he he jumps up thinking she in the room, realizing she not in the room. He sits back down. He goes and feeds the chickens, chops the woods, tends to the animals. It's a regular day. And then he goes upstairs and beats his meat, in his mama's nightgown again. Then he starts having these audible hallucinations, hearing her voice again, telling him, you can just go dig me up. So that's what he goes to do. Goes to the cemetery, digs up her body, digs and reaches the casket, but he can't get in her casket. And she's like, "Just take the bitch next to me." So he takes somebody else's mama. in lieu of his mother. In lieu of his mother's dead body, he gonna take somebody else's mama's dead body and take it back to the house and really just, puts her in the bed of his truck, takes her back to the house, throws her in the bed, and that's just that. He disrobes the woman, of course, because, he got a necrophiliac thing going on, too. He proceeds to disrobe her. And let's just roll on into episode 2. So Ed is out on his tractor when he sees all these people just start running. Convicts, escaped convicts, just start running through the field. Ed take off running too. They all look dead. They all look dead though, which is really strange because these are people from the concentration camps. They follow him to the house. He runs inside to hide, but they on the porch. They're trying to claw to get inside. Again, we're in his head. His mother's voice brings him back to like semi-reality because he ain't back to reality because he can still hear her. It's 1959. Alfred Hitchcock and another writer are discussing Ed over dinner. They talk about how he was diagnosed with schizophrenia. So that's the reason for the audible hallucinations as well as the hallucinations. And how Ed was just fascinated about gore and gruesome scenes. They really, take a deep dive into his psyche. Damn. They really go in and take a deep dive into his psyche because, I had to take a break. I was really trying to flow through that sentence and my brain was like, nope. It glitched a little bit. I glitched a little bit. Anyway, they take a deep dive into how his brain functions so that they can put together a good movie. Of course, there's always, in those times, they're like, we can't talk about this. We can't put this on film. What? All that stuff he did, we can't do that. They'll never buy it. The networks will never have it. We can't do that. But, you can't tell Alfred Hitchcock what to do. Listen, he's fascinated by the story as well. He has to, he got to tell this story. He got to put this movie out. They talk about how he would, his process and how he would skin his victims and he would put their bones back in the grave or whatever. That's what he would put back. He wanted the skin. He learned that from them reading them Nazi comic books with that lady in there skinning the people and making furniture and lamps and shit out of their skin. That reminds me of Madame Larari. Well, we dug into her story a little bit on American Horror Story, the Covent season, but she owned slaves, black people, and the things that she did was straight out of this Holocaust story, straight up, for real, but worse. I feel like. Anyway, he got that from her because, reading all of that intrigued him. And so he did it, art imitating life. Anyway, meanwhile, we still see that course because, of course, he hears his mother's voice in his head that always snaps him back into his reality. And the corpse still sitting over there, rocking in the chair and just decomposing. He sit down with it to eat, telling him, that he's a mess, the house is a mess. That's why I need a woman. And then, of course, she gonna talk back in his head. He can't have no, mama say, you can't have no Jezebel. She ain't having no Jezebel around her son. Ed say I'm gonna do what I want, mother. And we see him out skating with his friend girl, Adeline. And she's also into the macabre, so she wants to take pictures of crime scenes and she's into that sort of thing. And she says something so intimate about it. He mentions that he has a favorite bowl he'd like to show her, it's made out of, he said he made one out of a human skull. And she laughs like it's funny. But he's like, no, I'm serious. I can prove it. I can prove it. You know, come on back to my house. And she's like, you're inviting me to your house? Her mind on the sex. He really want to show her this bowl that he's made out of a human skull. He has a couple. They're his favorite bowls, and he want to show her. And her stupid ass is really thinking that, you know, he's trying to get her back to the house for some sex. She got the lustful eye, and he's really crazy. Anyway, they go to his house, and he get to waving. She's like, who you waving at? Oh, mother. Ain't nobody up there in that window. Ain't nobody standing in the window. Anyway, they go inside. And again, she don't smell the dead, rotten body. She don't smell it. I guess not. I feel like it would hit you at the door, but she go in there and it's pitch black in the house. Hell no. Hell no. Okay. She, you know, asking about his mother and all of that because he told her about his mom having a stroke. And, you know, he lights a match and in his lantern, and the house is a mess, of course. And he say he gonna go up. He wants to introduce her to his mother. So he goes upstairs or whatever. And she's, you know, kind of snooping around a little bit. And, when they do go upstairs, wait, first. Oh, no, yeah. First, before they get to the room, she sees a chair. And she's like, what is this made out of? It's a nipple on the damn chair. And he tells her it's a nipple. He is being very honest about his crazy, and she's just not taking it serious. If anybody tells you that they have a bowl at the house made with a human skull and they want to show you, why the fuck you getting in the car to go over there? You always should take that serious. Then when you see a chair that's kind of peculiar, skin is skin, okay? We are animals like that. And so, if I saw a reupholstered chair with a belly button on it, I'm going to be alarmed. What the fuck? She gonna say like a thinking it's a cow. No, this ain't cow. This is not a cow nipple. Absolutely not, girl. I couldn't believe her. Anyway, he peeks in on the mother. The mother just rocking in the chair, just dead. And he started getting, you know, mother, this is my friend. And she steps in a little closer, trying to speak. And then something don't feel right, you know. Then she's like, this don't feel right. And she kind of backs out and runs and leaves. And she says she kind of lingers outside because, of course, he goes nuts in the house on his dead mother because she didn't speak to his friend. You gonna speak to my friend. You gonna be nice to my friend. I love her. Crazy. Anyway, Ed, we see he's having an episode, okay? Because he walks out of the bathroom and now he's in Europe and now he in here with the Nazis. And, you know, we still see... Oh, wait. I skipped something. Yeah, I skipped the whole situation. Anyway, he goes because he storming out the house yelling at his mama. He grabs a gun and he goes out there down to the bar. He gonna drink his sorrows away. He in there with Mary. Mary offered him some prostitutes because, you know, she used to be a madam. She used to be a madam or whatever, so she know a few girls, you know, in her Rolodex if he need that. And then he starts looking at the bartender, giving her this look like, you look like my mother. You remind me of my mother. Same shape, too. You look like my mother. Oh, wait, I forgot I got to do his voice. You look like my mother. You look a lot like my mother. Oh, no, not my mother. Mother. You look a lot like mother. Same shape, too. She ain't like that, you know. And then, oh, wait. When he say same shape, she wasn't trying to hear it. She took it as an insult. And he's like, I'm not trying to insult you. You do remind me of my mama. You look like my mama. You shaped just like her, too. And she tells him, you know, that's no way to speak to a woman or whatever because she takes it as disrespect, like he trying to hit on her or whatever. And he's like, if you're such a, you ain't no lady. If you're such a lady, because she said there's no way to speak to a lady. If you was a lady, you wouldn't be trying to offer me prostitutes. You ain't no lady. A lady would never do that. Please, you know? And so he reads her ass and then goes to the back, to the bathroom, whatever. And when he comes back out the bathroom, now he's in Europe with the Nazis, like I said before. That's where I had skipped down to. And you know, he's walking about, but he also still sees Mary at the bar. So he's in a full hallucination, but Mary's still at the bar, and she fits the code. She fits Mama's code for Jezebel. You know, you a loose woman, you a madam with a bad, you know, you with a past, you're prostituting the women and all of that. Yeah, you're a sinner. You know, you're a whore. He pick up that gun and blows her head off. Not off, but, you know, put a bullet right through her head. And then drags her body out the back door. Took the money out of the register and everything. Put her in his car. I couldn't believe it. When he gets home, he just goes upstairs and picks out another bra, another one of his mama's bras to put on. Then we're back in a hotel room with these two guys. One tips through in full, you know, he got on his full negligee and a wig. And his guy friend is like, you know, because in those times, I guess it's cool to be gay, but you're doing too much being a cross-dresser. And this person is gonna be playing Norman Bates in the Psycho movie. So now we are back. We need to put up on the screen when we going back in time with what we doing here, because trying to follow that without y'all telling me what's happening, yeah, I don't like that. Because y'all could have said, oh yeah, okay, this is, especially when we get to the Alfred Hitchcock moments, because they just take us there, and it's like, oh, okay, we're back here. We're back here. And the guy friend completely shuns him and kind of degrades him for even thinking of taking a role where he was going to have to wear women's clothes. You know, it's basically like, so you selling your soul? Okay, well, done with your ass. I won't be seeing me anymore. But the thing is, this, and I don't want, let me not jump ahead. We ain't even there yet. We're not even there yet. But anyway, we see the actor and Alfred there on set. He takes him, you know, to Ed's real house, because they used his real house for the set. Everything is still the same. Nothing was, you know, as when the police raided it, everything was the same. So the actor walks through, just taking it all in. He's very much disturbed by all of it. Very disturbed by all of it. We see in Ed's fridge, you know, because he has him open it up. He still has coochies in there. Just coochie lips in the freezer. Holding on to him. To do what? I was thinking, okay, yeah, maybe he gonna back out of this. Maybe he ain't gonna do it. He said, I got a little integrity. You know, you ain't got to do every role. You ain't got to take every role. Because the actor started feeling woozy, you know, because he's really picturing himself in the role. And now, you know, it's just too much. It's just too much for him. Alfred clocks his teeth like, I picked you. I chose you because I know this is you. I know you right at home. I see you. He said, I know you got your own proclivities. I know you do, which is why you perfect for this story. Back on set, they're taking a lunch break. The lead actor, we see he's in therapy. He shares, you know, how every time he engages in sex, he goes and throws up afterwards. You know, so it's deep seated. Okay, the act of sodomy is monstrous. You know, and she tells him that he's about to be a star in an Alfred Hitchcock movie. You know, so you really gonna have to decide what you want to do. You want to really be a gay man? Or do you want to take up with a woman and live your life in Hollywood? Because him being open and gay would not be the move for him. And so she's just like, the sodomy needs to just cease. That's her advice. That's her advice on the whole thing. Because he said he want to get better. I don't know what's happening with that. Anyway, the police are investigating Mary's murder. Now we're back in real time with Ed. They at the bar, and a witness said that they saw Ed Gein's car drive off. And so yeah, we gotta talk to Ed, and there's a trail of blood that leads right out the truck. I mean, right out the back door. Then we see Eddie is peeking in on Adeline again. Because he watch her every damn day, just watching her every move like a crazy person. And I believe she knows that he watches her. I really do. I think she knows that. Because he watching her change, watching her fight with her mama, just every day. We see him dressed up as his mother. We see him tip up the stairs with a butcher knife. You know, this is the infamous scene here where she's in the shower. Adeline is in the shower. And he pulls back the curtain and he has on his mother's face. And then he just starts stabbing her. It's the very scene from Psycho that we're seeing. But with this Ed Gein and Adeline. Not Norman Bates and his victim from the movie. And then we see the people's reaction from this brutal murder on screen. The people throwing up. The people were shook, okay? They were not ready for so much gore. They running out. They're doing a lot, okay? The audience was just, I can't believe it. There were some people, you know, okay with it, getting into it. But Alfred Hitchcock's wife, she left. She wasn't sitting through that. Mixed reviews for sure. And Alfred is just outside the theater, peeking in, you know, watching it, just loving it. Just loving hearing all the screams and the people running from the theater and all of that. Some lady went into labor. It's just too much. And Alfred just standing there pleased with himself with all of it. Okay, that was episode 2. Let's move on to episode 3. This one is the babysitter. So Ed is babysitter. He had no business. He's remembering his father's drunken days and when his mama put his daddy out. And then you know, it was that day she told him, "You must never inflict the burden of a child on a woman. You must never lay with a woman. Don't you touch her." You know, and then she said, "I should castrate you." I said, "Girl, you taking it too far. You're doing too damn much." Anyway, in real time, Ed, he puts on this record and dances around the house in his mama's wig and her face and all that in the dress as if he's her. He gets a knock at the door. It's the sheriff, so he has to go do a quick change. They got questions about Mary Hogan. We heard it was you that was around there. We heard that somebody said they seen your car. And he said, "Hey, I couldn't even start my car yesterday. It wasn't me." So Ed be having the wherewithal to lie and cover his tracks. So it's like, we can't even use no crazy defense because you know what you're doing. You know exactly what you're doing. And then mother, he got the nerve to call out to her. "What you say, mother?" She ain't said nothing. Anyway, he tells him how he saw Mary a week ago. And, you know, he tells him, like I said, he couldn't get his truck to start yesterday. So it definitely wasn't him. Is Mary okay? Had something happened to her? Is she okay? They tell him, you know, what they found. We think somebody shot her. We really do. And he pretends to be shocked. "Oh, no. Oh, wow." Then he gonna hint at her being a madam. And that might be the reason that she got hurt. She got a shaky pass. You got some nerve. Anyway, they kind of take his word for it and going on. We see Ed at the diner having, you know, he's eating, and when Adeline walks through the door. And so I was confused by this because, no, I'm not confused. I guess they used Ed and the girl, Adeline, maybe because this is a fantasy of his that did play out in real time eventually, maybe. But not then in the story that we're watching. Because she's very much alive. I was like, is he seeing people again? But no, she's there. Because he says, "I thought you're not dead." So maybe he dreamt, maybe he thought he killed her. Maybe in his mind he had done that. I don't know, but she was very much there, okay? Um, he says that his mother's not well. No, you're not well. Adeline, she pulls out this news, these newspaper clippings and shows him this picture of a trans man. And he just can't believe what he's hearing. He cannot believe what he's hearing. He says he can see. I got an idea, and I'm gonna surprise you on Friday. He just thinks of something great. We see Ed out coughing, looting. He finds this woman, takes her hand off, and takes the ring off of her finger so that he can give it to the lady. And then he goes, he goes and gets her and takes her to the cemetery, and because he got something special to ask her. He proposes to her, and she says, "Yes, of course I'll marry you," with all the red flags. Anyway, because proposing to me at the cemetery would have been a huge red flag, big red flag. Actually, knowing that you being a peeping Tom is a red flag, but she was still entertaining his ass. Anyway, she jumps his bones right there on the spot. She, pulls his pants down. Of course, he stops her because he can't have the sex. Okay, this fornication, we're not doing it. He can't be fornicating. It's against the law. And he tells her, he doesn't feel like he's equipped because he doesn't know what it's like to be around kids. He doesn't really have a big family. And so she's like, I got the perfect thing for you to get you ready to be a husband and father. I'm going to take you around here to where I used to babysit and see if they'll let you babysit their kids. Anyway, they give him the job. They give him the job to watch the kids, and he done took them kids back to his house and scared the hell out of them. Okay, he was pulling out all the stuff, talking about he doing magic tricks, pulling out fingers, finger bones, real fingers with fingernails still on them. He came out with the skulls. He gonna do that little trick where you move the bowls around. Bowls were his skull bowls. Then he tells them. Then he comes out with a human head, puts it on top of his head. He just really thinks he's entertaining the kids, just playing around with the kids, and they scared as hell. Because when he pulls that down, then he got the face on his face. Finally, when he gets some kids back to their house, of course, they mama come running outside. They daddy come running outside about to light his ass up. Because where you been with our kids? I was just taking them back to my house because you said you weren't going to be back till later. I didn't mean any harm. We were just doing a magic trick. We were just doing a magic trick. You don't have to speak to me that way. Then he got the nerve to get all indignant. Excuse me? You lucky they ain't called the police on your ass. Anyway. Ed, he sees this girl with polio. And he watches her. She's in the store. He watches her. Then he follows her. And then he gonna say to her, you took my job. You took her job. They took her jobs. That's a South Park reference. Anyway, he mad at her because he can't babysit the kids. And she's like, I don't know nothing about that. Like, what you mean? She been away. She been sick in the hospital with polio. And you worrying her. Anyway, while she's watching the kids, they hear a noise outside. Of course, it's Ed. He's just standing there. The kids see him, but not the sitter. She go around, check the house and everything. Ed's inside, and he's right behind her. Of course, he finna snatch her up. Excuse me. Ed shows up to Adeline's house the next day. Talking about they worked. Adeline's mama, of course, is not here for her getting married and none of that. She has a fit, but she ain't listening. She finna run away with Ed. Okay. They get back to the house and she's getting comfortable, starting to pick things up around the house. And then she goes upstairs to check on Mother. And when she spins the chair around, it's Ed sitting in the chair with his mama's face. Well, not his mama's face, but somebody's face on his face with the wig on and everything. Then we see Alfred Hitchcock still, shopping that film around, showing it around town. It's 1964. The man playing Norman Bates stops by the theater, to watch the movie himself. He and his new guy friend, they in there. He in there giving him head while he watching the movie. And he tells the therapist, I think I've been cured. I think I've been cured of the gay. I'm not a monster after all. I can go and be a Hollywood star after all. He calls his agent, he say, I don't really want to be stuck being Norman Bates. I don't really want to be typecast as no cross-dressing crazy fool. Like I want some good roles, okay? He wants opportunities. And the agent's like, listen, the public thinks you're a weirdo, so you're a weirdo. Got to find more weirdo roles. Alfred and the team, they're discussing the future. The network now wants more sex horror. They loved it. Okay, and they need more of it. Now he's being pigeonholed into being this type of creator, which is not what he wanted to do. But here we are. It was a lose-lose for both y'all. And now he's like, this was the start. Really was the start of over-sexualizing everything, especially horror films. And it's been like that ever since. He's feeling bad about it. He's feeling bad about this can of worms he done opened. But it's really no going back to the wholesome television that we once knew. Then we see Ed, that girl that had polio, the babysitter. He got her tied up. Got her tied up at the house. And he's going on and on, about how he's some victim. And she done took his job. And how dare she? And he starts talking about the voices in his head, etc., etc. While he rolls mother out and sits her right in front of her and puts a hammer in her hand. Then, forces her head down and pretends like mother's doing the swinging. But it keeps missing. Another thing that he pulled from another thing that ended up in a movie, because it ends where now we're in a movie. Now we're on a movie set where this very same thing is happening. And so this episode just showed how much art imitates life, and how these writers and producers, mainly the writers, how they pull from the people's real life horror stories and put it on film. Because that the fact that he had so many victims or whatever, his real victims, it really is a slap in the face to the victims. It really is. When they turn it into entertainment, because here I am doing a full review on it, and Ed Gein got real victims. He killed real people. Mary was a real person, and she gone. Henry was a real person, and he gone. And I haven't even gotten in deep into the story yet. I'll be back for episodes 4 through 8. I'm gonna go on and wrap it up then. But y'all give me a little time. I'm gonna definitely get it to you next week. I'll have the rest of this story wrapped up. But yeah, I want the people to get a little bit more creative than pulling from a serial killer's manual and throwing it off as a good movie. This he really did this to these people, okay? Not to say that had these been fictional characters, it would have been better or anything like that. But it's just to know that when I was watching The Silence of the Lambs and he had that lady down in that dungeon and he was skinning that woman, creating a new woman, like a new frame for himself, like a shell, just really dancing around in skin. And Ed Gein was really doing that shit. Ew. No. Anyway, that's where we end off. I'm gonna get off of here. I've been talking for so long. It's almost 1 o'clock. I'm hungry too. Be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It's Call Me Busby, and I'll chat with you later. Peace and light.